David and Goliath, written by Malcolm Gladwell, summarized by audiobooks you love. Imagine facing an opponent far stronger, richer, and more powerful than you. One that seems virtually unbeatable. Most people would see this as an insurmountable obstacle. But what if the key to victory lay in your perceived weakness? In David and Goliath, Malcolm Gladwell challenges everything we think we know about the odds. He explores how underdogs, misfits, and those who seem outmatched can, in fact, leverage their disadvantages to achieve extraordinary victories. This isn't just about a biblical tale. It's about real-world strategies that change the way we see challenges and success. Ready to rethink what it means to be an underdog? Let's dive into the fascinating insights from David and Goliath. The Underdog Advantage. The title of Gladwell's book comes from the famous biblical story of David and Goliath, where the young, seemingly weak David defeats the massive warrior Goliath. But Gladwell turns this story on its head. The traditional interpretation of this story tells us that David's victory was an improbable miracle, that Goliath was simply outmatched. However, Gladwell argues that David's victory was not as unlikely as we might think. It was the result of strategy and perspective. The first major theme in the book is the concept of the underdog advantage. Gladwell suggests that those who seem to be at a disadvantage often have hidden strengths that can level the playing field. For example, David, though smaller and less experienced, used a sling, a weapon that allowed him to attack Goliath from a distance, mitigating Goliath's superior size and strength. This illustrates that being perceived as weak can sometimes be an advantage, as it forces you to use creativity and unconventional methods to succeed. Gladwell highlights how people facing tough odds often perform better precisely because they have fewer resources, which forces them to think outside the box. They might not have the same power or wealth as their opponents, but they make up for it by being innovative, adaptable, and determined. The inverted U-curve. The relationship between difficulty and success. Gladwell introduces the concept of the inverted U-curve to explain the relationship between difficulty and success. While it's intuitive to think that more resources or higher skill levels lead to better outcomes, Gladwell argues that there's an optimal level of difficulty that leads to success. At some point, having too many resources or too much power can actually hinder performance. He gives the example of highly talented students. Those who are extremely gifted tend to struggle in environments where they don't face significant challenges. Without obstacles to overcome, their growth is stunted. On the other hand, students who face a moderate level of difficulty develop resilience and problem-solving skills that propel them to success. This theme is seen throughout the book in various case studies, whether it's in education, business, or sports, where overcoming adversity often leads to the development of skills and characteristics that far outweigh the advantages of those who have it easy. The theory of desirable difficulty. Another key concept that Gladwell explores is the theory of desirable difficulty. Gladwell challenges the common notion that a smooth and easy life is desirable. In fact, he argues that difficulty, hardship, and adversity often produce more successful individuals than those who have a life of ease. In particular, difficulties push people to develop skills, perseverance, and unique strategies that they might not otherwise have gained. One powerful example Gladwell discusses is the story of how people with dyslexia have often been able to overcome their challenges and achieve remarkable success. Many dyslexic individuals struggle with reading, but in the process, they develop other skills, such as creative problem-solving, resilience, and perseverance, that help them in other areas of their lives. The adversity they face early in life becomes the very thing that fosters their success later on. Gladwell also draws upon the story of the 10,000-hour rule from his previous book Outliers, which aligns with this concept of desirable difficulty. He suggests that success is often not about talent, but about how much time and effort one is willing to put into overcoming challenges. The more difficulties we face, the more likely we are to develop the resilience and persistence that lead to success. Misconceptions about power and advantage. Gladwell also examines the nature of power and advantage, showing how having too much power can actually be a disadvantage. He looks at the case of small private schools with fewer resources and how they often outperform larger institutions, not because of superior funding or more qualified teachers, but because their smaller size allows for more personal attention and stronger relationships. These small schools, although underfunded, can often make decisions more quickly and have a tighter-knit community. In contrast, the larger institutions, with more power and resources, often become bogged down by bureaucracy and slow decision-making. This highlights an important point. Having a great deal of power or resources doesn't automatically lead to success. Sometimes, smaller organizations or individuals with less power can be more agile, creative, and successful because they aren't bound by the constraints of excess. The power of legitimacy and the role of authority. A significant part of David and Goliath revolves around the power dynamics between authority figures and the so-called underdogs. Gladwell explores how people react to authority figures and why they sometimes make decisions that benefit the underdog. He looks at the history of revolutions and protests and examines how even the most powerful systems of control can be upended by individuals or groups who challenge the status quo. He talks about the concept of legitimacy. When people feel that their actions are justified, they are more likely to fight back against authority. Gladwell shows how the civil rights movement in the US was able to create powerful change because people saw the moral legitimacy of the struggle. The underdogs in this case, those fighting for civil rights, used their perceived disadvantages to create a moral high ground that garnered the support of many people, including those who might have otherwise been indifferent. The importance of the power of disadvantage. Throughout the book, Gladwell provides numerous examples of individuals and groups who have achieved greatness despite, or because of, their disadvantages. He argues that being at the bottom of the social ladder, economically disadvantaged, or physically smaller doesn't mean that you're doomed to fail. In fact, these challenges often provide unique advantages that can be used strategically. For example, in business, many successful entrepreneurs started with little to no resources, forcing them to innovate and take risks in ways that more established companies wouldn't have. Gladwell tells the story of how small, seemingly inconsequential events or characteristics can be the very things that help individuals overcome giants. In one example, he describes how a basketball player, who was overlooked because of his size, ended up becoming a great player because of his relentless work ethic and ability to think differently. What others saw as a disadvantage, the player's small stature, became his secret weapon, as he was forced to develop skills that his taller, more powerful peers didn't have. In the conclusion of David and Goliath, Gladwell reiterates the central message. Sometimes being an underdog is not only advantageous, it's necessary for success. The very challenges and obstacles that seem like setbacks can often provide the strength, creativity, and drive needed to overcome giants. In life, business, and social movements, the perceived advantages of strength and power can often backfire, while those who face difficulties are pushed to develop the resilience that leads to extraordinary outcomes. By challenging traditional views on power and success, Gladwell encourages us to rethink how we define winning and losing. It's not always about having the most resources or the greatest strength. Often, success is about leveraging your disadvantages, thinking creatively, and having the courage to keep fighting against the odds. Call to action. If you found this summary of David and Goliath intriguing and want to learn more about how underdogs, misfits, and those facing adversity can turn their perceived weaknesses into powerful advantages, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more insightful book summaries. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let us know in the comments what you think about the idea of desirable difficulty and how you've turned challenges in your life into opportunities. Thanks for watching.